Good morning. You are listening to Florida Commercial Real Estate Radio. I am your host, Doug Dennison, and we are broadcasting from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city at WFOY 1240 AM studios. I will have a co-host today, Jerry Anderson, CCIM from Sperry Van Ness Commercial Real Estate Advisors in Palm Beach County, Florida, will be calling in today. Through the power of the internet, this program is being streamed worldwide on 1240news.com. The show will also be archived on svn.com, as Sperry Van Ness Commercial Real Estate Advisors are the sponsors of this program. Additionally, this show will be posted on youtube.com. We're going to be talking about commercial real estate, different commercial real estate markets across the state of Florida. We've got a lot of topics today. Help us out. We've got several commercial real estate leaders calling in. And Jerry Anderson, are you on the line?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Doug. I am on the line.
We've got our first caller. Let's get him on the line, Jerry. And again,
sure. I want to talk to a couple of folks today. I want to talk about port cities, some of the port cities around the state. So go ahead. Let's patch in. I think it's Tom Morgan. I hope it is from Jacksonville.
Great. Let's get him on the line. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. This is Tom Morgan.
Hey, Tom. Great to meet you over the airwaves, and we've got Jerry Anderson on the line too.
All right. Well, hey, Jerry. Hey, Doug. Thanks for having me.
Tom, you are. Give us a little background about yourself. How do you get into commercial real estate, and where are you located?
Sure. Well, I'm located in Jacksonville, Florida, and I got into real estate. Really, I grew up in the business. Through my dad, who's been a veteran of the industry for about 40 years. I've been with Sperry Van Ness for about 5 years myself. I've got a Master of Science in Real Estate from the University of Florida. Completed 75% of my CCIM courses.
Nice.
And I'm a licensed real estate broker.
You know, tell me about that CCIM designation. What does that mean, Tom?
Well, it's a Certified Commercial Investment Member. And Jerry Anderson, who's speaking, is also a CCIM. And it is one of the most well-regarded professional designations for commercial real estate professionals. It really lets people know that you know what you're doing, and a lot of deals and networking go on between the CCIM network based on that confidence. Very good. Jerry, I know prior to this show you've been talking about Tom and all of his attributes. Why don't you tell us a little bit about him and why he's so successful, and also ask him a few questions about the market, if you will.
Right. Well, the reason that I invited Tom to today's show is the topic of today's show is to talk about the economic impact of ports on the cities of Florida. And, of course, we have ports throughout the state. A lot of people don't think about that if you live on the inside of the interior of the state. But Tom is up there in Jacksonville. Now, he's a very humble guy. He's what I call one of the up-and-comers in the industry. But he didn't tell you is he studied urban planning and political science. He's a graduate of Florida State University. And he's one of those commercial real estate advisors that not only understands sort of the bricks and mortar, if you will, but he understands the economic impact of commercial real estate in a community, because not only has he been in it for a while, as you heard, he practically grew up in the business with his father and family who've been in the business for a long time in Jacksonville. I'm bragging a little bit about you here, Tom, but he studied this as well. So by coming out of the academia he has a master's degree in real estate. So that's pretty unusual. Sometimes folks go right into sales. And what I wanted to ask Tom a couple of questions, because I really think he's qualified as somebody not only who studied all of this, but also understands it on a daily basis. Tom, you're very fortunate to live in a community that has a port. And, you know, the ports, if you really pay attention to what's going on out there, the states, the Corps of Engineers, you know, they want the ports of Florida to be able to compete on a global basis. And, of course, we in the state of Florida want to be able to create well-paying jobs for our citizens in those cities. So I'm going to go right at you with this, with the hardest question right out of the box. In your opinion, as a practitioner and as an advisor, what is the impact that a port like yours in Jacksonville, and you really have two of them there, you have the Port of Jacksonville and the Port of Fernandina, But what do those ports mean to your community in terms of commercial real estate?
Well, that's a good question, Jerry. The port in Jacksonville has really been a driver for growth in the community for a while, based on the anticipation of improvements to some of the port issues. And I was going to bring up two specific things that are current issues with the port that are being dealt with that will have an impact going forward, which are the mile point fix, which is an issue that has an engineering solution to that creates a timing delay for the amount of time ships can pass through the port. And so that is an engineering solution that has been found, and there's funding in place, and the Army Corps of Engineers is currently working on that. And also the channel depth issue, which has come, I don't know, it's been in the news quite a bit, but basically, you know, for the larger ships and a larger volume of trade, they're asking for a deeper channel. And the Army Corps of Engineers is also working on that, and there's a local preferred plan, which would take it to 47 feet, which is on the President's Move It Forward program. And there's some findings due in May which should allow that to move forward. And both of those two things can really lead to an increased amount of trade, increased volume in terms of containers going through the port. And that really is going to support a lot of the growth. A lot of it was built out, you know, pre-recession and during the recession in anticipation of this stuff. But what that'll do is allow that product to be absorbed and allow for new product and new commercial activity going forward, you know, in the North Jacksonville and the port area.
Hey, Tom.
Go ahead, Doug. Go ahead, sir.
Tom, you sent me a listing that you have that was very interesting. It's near the airport. It's called the Airport Logistics Center. Can you give us some information about that and the attributes of this particular property?
Absolutely, and that was a great time to bring that up, Doug. The Airport Logistics Center is a property that's really positioned as the last best commercial piece in the airport commercial node. And what it is 130 acres with 3,000 feet of frontage on I-95, immediately north of the airport exit on the west side of I-95. And what's happened, and the graphic in the flyer I sent you actually doesn't show it, but there's about four pieces of property right there, where there's the airport, the trade port just south. To the east is the River City Marketplace, which is the other item I was going to bring up that's affecting commercial real estate in the Jacksonville area. Because of its success, the River City Marketplace is about 99% occupied.
Wow.
And has been thriving. And due to that and the port activity, it's really increased the growth of this airport commercial node. And what makes this property attractive is this is kind of the last piece of the four-part quadrant to that node that is still ready for development. And so we've got 130 acres that have been green belted, you know, free and clear of debt, with an application submitted for, I think, 1.2 million square feet of industrial. And that property is ideally positioned for kind of the next big piece of commercial growth in that node.
Very, very nice. Again, Jerry, I interrupted you. Please go on with your questions, please.
Well, the question, Tom, that I wanted to toss out to you is I read statistics that you mentioned the channel and the dredging and the deepening of it. I read statistics that say that for every dollar the state might invest, that they get about $7.50 back for every dollar that they invest. I mean, that's a phenomenal return in terms of an investment into the community. So here's my question to you. You mentioned specifics about industrial product that probably is going to benefit from the port activity and expansion and being able to compete globally. But what about the job impact, the number of people that might work at a port? What does that do for a community and the flow down through retail sales and so forth? And even single-family housing, if you will.
Well, from the Jacksport's numbers, in Jacksonville alone, there's about 23,000 people employed in port-dependent positions, you know, jobs directly relying on the port, and an additional 43,000 positions related to the cargo activity in the port. And what this is really doing, I mean, a lot of these jobs, it really reaches out to the community because Jacksonville has taken on this moniker of America's Logistics Center, and they're pushing not only for, you know, the property-related stuff, but They're now pushing engineering programs and logistical programs into educational systems, UNF specifically, and it's really has a broader impact than even the specific direct jobs related to the port. Through education, transportation infrastructure, and also a lot of these jobs raise the median income. A lot of these jobs are higher paying than some of the other jobs in Jacksonville, and so it increases the ability for consumers to spend, which in turn helps retail activity as well.
Well, and I'm sure you being having a major in urban planning, you know all the statistics better than I do, but I think for every dollar that's earned in a community in terms of disposable income, it typically turns over 7 times. So those are phenomenal numbers. The number of jobs that you just quoted that are generated by the port, that's pretty exciting. And as an individual that watches the entire state, because we have offices everywhere, 2009 and even the beginning of 2010 were pretty tough years for the two ends of the state, the southwest part of the state, Fort Myers and Naples, and Jacksonville also was sluggish. But it seems to me, based on what I'm hearing you say and what I'm seeing, and certainly by what I'm watching in terms of your activity there in Jacksonville, the market's picked up in all segments. Would you agree, or could you isolate for our listeners maybe which segments are hotter than others? When I say segments, I'm referring to industrial or office or retail or land and so forth.
Absolutely, and I would agree with what you're saying completely, Jerry. We're seeing it all across the board, optimism and increased activity. In terms of hot sectors, the apartment market has been very strong here, like it has nationally, and we're seeing interest from really all over outside of the state, international money. People looking and targeting Jacksonville based on the opportunities here and the low cost of living, I guess, low taxes, and deals essentially. Also, income producing assets. Between the two hottest ones in income producing are really the single tenant triple net. Anything with a strong credit, long term income asset, those are in pretty high demand, and they're really trading at pretty low caps. And then the other area would be value add income assets, where there is either a hole in the asset, say in a strip center with a small hole in it, that leaves a value upside for an investor, or has lower market rates, for example, and has room to improve the asset but still has some income. That's an area that's also pretty attractive.
What I hear you saying is, if as an investor, if Jacksonville was not on your radar screen, it needs to be.
It absolutely should be. And just to cap that off, Jerry, we just recently had the largest office sale in, I believe, 7 years in the Jacksonville market, which was Parkway Properties buying the...
Go ahead, Doug. You had a question for Tom?
Yeah. Tom, you're talking about kind of the airport property and the port, and it just brought to mind that you've got to be so up to date with what government is doing, not only local, state, and federal, to help your buyers and your sellers in figuring out the prices, the value. And I see from your bio that you were involved in Washington, D.C., in the political sector by helping Senator Bill Nelson years ago. Can you tell us about that and what you learned up there?
Absolutely. I was fortunate enough to be selected for a competitive legislative intern position for Senator Bill Nelson back in 2006. And that allowed us to be exposed to kind of the inner workings of the political process in a Senate office, spend 6 weeks living in D.C. and basically working, in the Senate buildings, working around the Capitol, helping with, projects and research and, any type of legislative work we could do, sitting in on the Senate floors, doing tours of the Capitol. And what it really showed us and what it really exposed me to was kind of the the dynamics of the relationships among politicians, and how much that affects the process.
And again, if you talked about President Obama is putting on his agenda for Jacksport and making the port more viable. when you hear about that, and that's got to affect values big time, right?
It absolutely should, and values haven't been pressured up so much just yet, as much as they have stabilized. And due to the low financing, essentially easy money, it's more that the expectation gap has decreased, where the values are people that have been waiting to be able to afford them or have deferred their decision making are able to purchase those properties now with, good financing and low rates. And so there's less of a gap, and which is increasing the activity level, but it hadn't really pushed prices upward yet.
Well, very good. But I missed a little bit. The office building, you just had a big sale. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. I was just referencing, it was it's not one of our listings. It was just the largest office sale in Jacksonville in the last 7 years, which was it was really just a significant announcement speaking to the level of recovery in the market. Parkway Properties purchased 2 office buildings from Flagler at the South Point area of Jacksonville, and it was the largest, office deal in 7 years, Class A product.
That's got to help everything. Jerry, before we let Tom go and make more money, do you have any other questions before we ask him his contact information?
Well, I would encourage listeners to get a hold of Tom, and we'll give you his contact information here. He is a guy that understands the Jacksonville market. He has an academic background with that degree, a master's degree in real estate. He's in the market on a daily basis, and he truly is an advisor, and certainly one here at Sperry Van Ness that we're very proud of. So, Tom, your phone number is 904-346-3668. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I can also give you my cell phone number. That is our office line. My cell phone number is 904-465-5641.
Very good. Tom, how about email? Do you have an email that people can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. My email is tom.morgan, MORGAN, @svn.com.
Tom, thank you so much for taking time out on this Friday and calling in. Jerry and I appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend, sir.
Doug, thank you so much for having me. And Jerry, thank you so much for helping me get through the questions.
All right, sir. Good day.
All right, take care.